In 1959, Laramie brought the wild frontier to American living rooms, but the real drama unfolded off-screen. By 2026, the cast's lives have been filled with shocking twists, broken marriage, and transformations that no one could have imagined. Some thrived, some vanished, and some faced heartbreak that rivals any frontier tale. Watch closely because what happened to them will stun you. John Smith, as Slim Sherman. John Smith was born on March 6, 1931 in Los Angeles, California. At 28 years old, he played Slim Sherman, the steady and responsible co-ranch owner and leading cowboy figure in the series. His calm authority and grounded performance gave the series its emotional center, making Slim Sherman the character that held the story together through every conflict and frontier struggle. But as Laramie ended, the stability he portrayed on screen slowly contrasted with growing instability in his personal life. In 1960, Smith married actress Luana Patton, and their marriage soon faced strain as his career slowed and time away from home increased. The relationship eventually collapsed under these pressures, leading to their divorce in 1964. After Laramie ended, Smith's career slowly lost direction as Hollywood moved away from traditional westerns, and he found himself increasingly isolated from the industry that once defined him. This professional decline was not just financial but deeply personal, as he struggled to adapt to a new era of television while carrying the weight of earlier success that no longer guaranteed stability. John Smith passed away on January 25, 1995. At the age of 63, after suffering from severe liver cirrhosis and heart complications linked to long-term alcohol dependence and depression. His remains were cremated, and his ashes were scattered at sea according to his final wishes. With an estimated net worth of $3 million, he left behind Slim Sherman as his defining legacy. Spring Byington as Daisy Cooper. Spring Byington was born on October 17, 1886, in Colorado, United States. At 75 years old, she played Daisy Cooper, the warm and steady family matriarch in the series. Her gentle presence brought emotional warmth to the series, helping balance the rugged Western world with a softer human side. But behind that comforting screen image, her real life carried the weight of early loss and long personal sacrifice. After losing her father at a young age, she was raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly to support the family, and that sense of resilience later shaped her entire approach to life and acting. In 1909, she married Roy Carey Chandler, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1920 after years of separation due to his traveling work and growing differences in life direction, leaving her to raise her two daughters alone while fully dedicating herself to the stage and later Hollywood. As her career expanded across decades, Spring Byington became one of Hollywood's most respected character actresses, earning an Academy Award nomination for You Can't Take It With You, 1938, and later widespread television recognition through December Bride, 1954 to 1959. Even in her later years on Laramie, she remained a symbol of stability on screen, while privately facing declining health that eventually led to a battle with cancer. Spring Byington passed away on September 7, 1971, at the age of 84 at her home in Hollywood Hills. In a final act of generosity, she donated her body to medical science for research purposes. After all, she left behind a legacy defined not by scandal or tragedy, but by decades of quiet excellence. Robert Fuller as Jess Harper. Robert Fuller was born on July 29, 1933, in Troy, New York. At 26 years old, he played Jess Harper, the rugged and loyal cowboy ranch hand in Laramie. His calm intensity and natural Western presence helped turn Jess Harper into the emotional backbone of the series. But behind the steady image he portrayed on screen, his personal life was beginning to shift in ways that would slowly reshape everything. His marriage to Patricia Lee Lyon in 1962 began while his career was still climbing, and together they had 3 children. For a time, life looked stable on the surface, but the pressure of constant filming schedules, long separations on set, and the emotional distance created by Hollywood's demands slowly built tension inside the family, eventually leading to their divorce in 1984 after more than 20 years together. As his Western stardom began to fade, Fuller faced a quiet but difficult professional transition, where being strongly identified as a cowboy role made it harder to find new opportunities. That shift forced him to reinvent himself in television, leading to his successful return in Emergency, 1972, as Dr. Kelly Brackett, marking him the emotional reality of leaving behind the genre that made him famous. As of 2026, Robert Fuller is 92 years old and still living a quiet retirement, later finding companionship with actress Jennifer Savage. With an estimated net worth of around $5 million, he remains one of the enduring faces of classic American television, where Jess Harper continues to stand as a symbol of loyalty, survival, and the golden age of Western storytelling. Dennis Holmes as Mike Williams. Dennis Holmes was born on October 3, 1950, in the United States. At 11 years old, he played Mike Williams, the orphaned young boy adopted into the ranch family in Laramie. His innocent and emotional performance gave the series a softer human perspective, turning Mike Williams into a symbol of vulnerability and hope within the harsh Western environment. But growing up inside Hollywood meant his childhood was far from ordinary. He entered the entertainment industry as a baby and quickly became a working child actor, appearing in productions like The Restless Gun and Wagon Train, while trying to balance filming schedules with school life. The pressure of constant work and early fame slowly revealed the emotional cost of being raised in front of cameras rather than in a normal childhood environment. As he got older, Dennis Holmes began to see the reality of Hollywood's instability for child actors, where fame rarely survived adulthood. That realization pushed him to make a firm decision in the mid-1960s to leave acting completely, stepping away from the industry to build a quieter and more stable life in the private sector, far from the unpredictability of show business. As of 2026, Dennis Holmes is 75 years old and still living a private, low-profile life, with no public involvement in entertainment. With an estimated net worth of around $300,000, he has remained intentionally out of the spotlight. Stuart Randall as Sheriff Mort Corey. Stuart Randall was born on July 24, 1909, in Brazil, Indiana. At 51 years old, he played Sheriff Mort Corey, the firm and disciplined town sheriff in Laramie. His authoritative presence gave the series its moral backbone, turning Sheriff Mort Corey into a symbol of law and order in a world often defined by chaos and survival. Behind that steady image of authority, Randall's early life was shaped by hardship during the Great Depression, where he worked multiple physically demanding jobs just to support himself and his family. That experience built the quiet toughness he later brought to Hollywood, where he gradually built a long career of more than 100 supporting roles, including appearances in The Hoodlum Empire, 1952, before becoming widely recognized through Laramie. Stuart Randall passed away on June 22, 1988, at the age of 78 in Victorville, California, due to natural causes linked to age-related health decline. With an estimated net worth of around $1 to $2 million, he left behind a legacy defined by consistency and integrity, where Sheriff Mort Corey remains a lasting symbol of calm authority in classic Western television. Robert Crawford Jr. as Andy Sherman. Robert Crawford Jr. was born on May 13, 1944, in the United States. At 15 years old, he played Andy Sherman, the young ranch hand and adopted brother figure in the series. His youthful and innocent performance added emotional warmth to the series, helping balance the harshness of the Western world with a sense of family and belonging. Growing up in a highly competitive Hollywood family, Crawford was constantly compared to his younger brother Johnny Crawford, who achieved major child star fame. That pressure shaped much of his early career, even as he earned recognition of his own, most notably through his Emmy-nominated performance in Playhouse 90, 1959, which briefly positioned him as one of the most promising young actors of his generation. As the years went on, he began to feel less connected to acting and increasingly aware of the instability that came with Hollywood fame. Instead of continuing in front of the camera, he made a deliberate shift into production work, choosing a quieter behind-the-scenes career path where he could remain in the industry without the constant pressure of performance and public attention. As of 2026, Robert Crawford Jr. is 81 years old and still living a private, low-profile life, with an estimated net worth of around $2 million. He remains completely removed from public celebrity culture, where his role as Andy Sherman stands as a reminder of a young actor who stepped away from fame to build a more stable and peaceful life on his own terms. Hoagy Carmichael as Jonesy. Hoagy Carmichael was born on November 22, 1899, in Bloomington, Indiana. At 60 years old, he played Jonesy, the wise and gentle ranch handyman and musical soul of the series in Laramie. His warm, understated performance brought a rare emotional softness to the Western world, making Jonesy feel like the heart of the ranch and giving the series a deeper human texture beyond its frontier conflicts. But behind that calm screen presence was a man whose real legacy had already been written in music history long before he stepped into television. A world-famous composer and performer, he created timeless classics like Stardust and Georgia on My Mind, and even won an Academy Award for In the Cool, Cool, Cool of the Evening, 1951. Yet despite his success, his personal life was deeply affected by the emotional distance that grew during his marriage to Ruth Mary Lyons, which ended in divorce in 1955 after years of strain caused by touring and creative isolation. As time passed, Carmichael also faced the quiet weight of aging and declining health, particularly related to long-term heart problems that gradually limited his activity. Even though his focus had shifted more toward acting in later years, music always remained the center of his identity, and Laramie became one of his final notable screen appearances. Hoagy Carmichael passed away on December 27, 1981, at the age of 82 after suffering a sudden heart attack at Eisenhower Medical Center in California. With an estimated net worth of around $10 million, he left behind an extraordinary dual legacy as both a legendary American composer and a memorable television presence. Eddie Waller as Mose. Eddie Waller was born on May 3, 1889, in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. At 70 years old, he played Mose, the loyal and weathered old ranch helper and wagon hand figure in the series. His natural, down-to-earth performance added authenticity to the series, giving Mose the feel of a man who had spent his entire life on the frontier and understood its hardships better than anyone else. His career stretched across more than 250 films, beginning in the early era of silent cinema and continuing through the golden age of Hollywood westerns. Over decades, he became known as a dependable character actor, often portraying rugged working-class figures who brought realism to stories of the American West. Laramie ultimately became one of the final major milestones in his long and steady screen career. Behind the camera, Waller lived a remarkably quiet and stable personal life with his wife, Doris Waller, avoiding the scandals and turbulence that often surrounded Hollywood careers. Their marriage remained steady throughout the changing decades of the film industry, and he was widely respected for his humor, humility, and willingness to support younger actors on set. Eddie Waller passed away on August 20, 1977, at the age of 88 after suffering a severe stroke in Los Angeles. With an estimated net worth of $2 million, he was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, leaving behind a legacy defined by longevity, consistency, and a quiet but essential presence in the evolution of American Western cinema. Ed Prentiss as Bailey and Dr. Burns. Ed Prentiss was born on September 9, 1909, in Chicago, Illinois. At 51 years old, he played Bailey/Dr. Burns, the calm and experienced town doctor and occasional authority figure in Laramie. His deep, resonant voice and composed screen presence brought credibility to every scene he appeared in, making his characters feel like the quiet moral support system of the frontier community. Before stepping into television drama, Prentiss had already built a strong reputation in the golden era of radio broadcasting, where his voice became his most powerful tool. That success, however, created an unexpected challenge when he transitioned into on-screen acting later in life, forcing him to relearn performance through physical expression rather than voice alone, while also appearing in productions like The Virginian and various commercial narration roles. His marriage to Jeanette Prentiss remained steady, but emotionally tested by the demands of constant travel between radio studios and television sets. Despite long periods of separation caused by overlapping contracts and recording schedules, the couple maintained their relationship and stayed together throughout his career, reflecting a quiet but enduring partnership behind his professional life. Ed Prentiss passed away on March 18, 1992, at the age of 83 in Los Angeles after suffering a severe stroke. With an estimated net worth of around $1 to $2 million, he left behind a legacy defined by voice and presence, where his work in Laramie stands as a bridge between radio's golden age and the rise of television storytelling. James Anderson, as Troy Tollard, and Rip James Anderson, was born on July 13, 1921, in Wetumpka, Alabama. At 38 years old, he played Troy Tollard/Rip, the drifter, outlaw, and hostile ranch troublemaker in Laramie. His strong screen energy made every appearance feel unpredictable, adding tension and darkness that contrasted sharply with the show's more stable ranch life. His career was built on portraying complex and often villainous characters, shaped by a difficult upbringing in poverty that influenced the intensity he brought to his performances. His most defining role came in To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962, where he played Bob Ewell, a performance that remains one of the most chilling portrayals in classic American cinema and cemented his reputation as a powerful character actor. However, behind these roles, Anderson's personal life was marked by emotional instability and escalating inner conflict. His marriage to Mary Anderson suffered under the pressure of his volatile temperament and growing difficulties in maintaining stable relationships, leading to a home life filled with tension and distance that mirrored the darkness of the characters he often played on screen. James Anderson passed away on September 14, 1969, at the age of 48 from a sudden heart attack, during a period when his acting career was still active and highly respected. With an estimated net worth of around $500,000, he left behind a legacy defined by intensity and emotional depth. Bartlett Robinson as sheriff, and Jim Bartlett Robinson was born on November 9, 1912, in New York City, United States. At 47 years old, he played Sheriff/Jim, the authoritative lawman and recurring town sheriff in Laramie. His refined intellectual screen presence gave the series a sense of order and credibility. His career path was shaped early by his deep connection to radio drama, where he became the first voice of Perry Mason during the 1940s, helping define the character before it ever reached television. That success eventually led him into Hollywood, where his serious demeanor typecast him into roles such as judges, doctors, and sheriffs, while later appearances, like in Woody Allen's Sleeper, 1973, showed his ability to adapt across different eras of filmmaking. Behind the professional stability, his personal life required constant negotiation between two demanding worlds: New York stage artistry and Hollywood film work. In 1938, he married actress Margot Stevenson, and although their relationship endured for decades, long separations caused by bi-coastal work schedules often created emotional distance and periods of strain within the marriage. Bartlett Robinson passed away on March 26, 1986, at the age of 73 in San Jacinto, California, after battling lung cancer for several years. With an estimated net worth of around $1.2 million, he left behind a legacy defined by discipline and versatility. Fred Coby as deputy and Ed Rigby. Fred Coby was born on February 22, 1919, in the United States. At 43 years old, he played Deputy/Ed Rigby, the deputy sheriff, law enforcement officer under the sheriff, in Laramie, 1959 to 1963. His rugged presence and reliable performance added depth to the town's law enforcement system, helping reinforce the realism of everyday frontier life in the series. His early years were shaped by military service during World War II, an experience that left him with both discipline and emotional scars that would follow him into civilian life. After returning home, he struggled to establish himself in Hollywood, often taking smaller roles in Western productions and performing many of his own horseback stunts, even in dangerous conditions with minimal safety protection. Despite the physical demands of his career, his personal life remained remarkably stable. He shared a long marriage with his wife, and together they chose a quiet, modest lifestyle in the suburbs, avoiding the excesses and instability often associated with Hollywood fame, instead focusing on simplicity and personal peace away from the spotlight. Fred Coby passed away on October 11, 2002, at the age of 83 in Utah due to age-related health complications. With an estimated net worth of around $600,000, he left behind a legacy as a dependable supporting actor of the Western era. L.Q. Jones as Neely/Homer/Betts. L.Q. Jones was born on August 19, 1927, in Beaumont, Texas. At 32 years old, he played Neely/Homer/Betts, the drifter, outlaw, and occasional hostile ranch worker in Laramie. His rough-edged screen presence brought unpredictability to the series, adding a darker and more unstable energy that contrasted with the ranch's structured world. Behind those roles, his life was marked by deep personal loss and constant reinvention. After losing his mother in a tragic car accident during childhood, he later served as a U.S. Air Force pilot before entering Hollywood. His marriage to Netta Mae Johnson in 1950 produced 3 children, but over time it became strained as his obsession with filmmaking and directing grew stronger, eventually leading to divorce in the 1970s as he poured himself into independent projects like A Boy and His Dog, 1975. As he transitioned from acting to directing, Jones developed a reputation for creative intensity and financial risk-taking, often prioritizing artistic vision over stability. While this made him a respected figure in independent cinema, it also placed long-term pressure on his personal relationships and family life, as he spent increasing time away from home working on ambitious film projects. L.Q. Jones passed away on July 9, 2022, at the age of 94 in Hollywood Hills from natural causes. He left behind a legacy defined by bold storytelling and Western authenticity. Harry Lauter as Rafe Andrews and Bert Lewis. Harry Lauter was born on June 19, 1914, in White Plains, New York. At 45 years old, he played Rafe Andrews/Bert Lewis, the cowboy ranch hand and deputy sheriff in Laramie. His steady and dependable screen presence made him a familiar face across Western television. Coming from a family with circus entertainment roots, Lauter grew up with a natural sense of performance, but lacked a stable childhood environment. That early exposure to physical discipline later translated into his Hollywood career, where he became one of the most hard-working supporting actors in Western television, appearing in countless episodes of shows like Gunsmoke and Bonanza. As Westerns began to decline, Lauter made a practical and forward-thinking shift away from acting, opening an antiques shop and art gallery in Ojai, California. This transition reflected both industry change and the physical toll of years performing stunts, as repeated horseback riding injuries and action scenes left him with chronic joint and bone issues in later life. Harry Lauter passed away on October 30, 1990, at the age of 76 in Ventura County, California, due to acute heart failure. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, he left behind a legacy as one of Hollywood's most reliable Western character actors. Roy Barcroft as Doc Longley and Deputy Marshal Roy Barcroft was born on September 7, 1902, in Crab Orchard, Nebraska. At 58 years old, he played Doc Longley/Deputy Marshal, the town doctor and Deputy U.S. Marshal in Laramie. His firm voice and authoritative screen presence added a sense of danger and order at the same time for the series. Behind that commanding image was a life shaped by extreme hardship and constant survival from a very young age. He once lied about his age to join military service during World War I as a teenager, and after returning, he worked a series of exhausting jobs, including railroad laborer, salesman, and sailor before finally breaking into Hollywood. That relentless struggle defined his career path, leading him to become one of Republic Pictures' most recognizable screen villains throughout the 1930s and 1940s, like The Purple Monster Strikes, 1945, and Disney television productions. His marriage to Vera Thompson in 1932 became a stabilizing force in a career that demanded extreme output, as he often worked on 10 to 15 films per year just to maintain financial stability. The constant workload placed heavy emotional pressure on their relationship, creating periods of stress and emotional exhaustion, but Vera remained a steady support system throughout his career, helping him endure episodes of depression and professional fatigue. Roy Barcroft passed away on November 28, 1969, at the age of 67 in Los Angeles after a long battle with kidney cancer. With an estimated net worth of around $500,000, he left behind a legacy as one of Hollywood's most iconic Western antagonists. So, after revisiting the Laramie cast in 2026, we've seen a powerful journey of fame, struggle, reinvention, and loss. Now we have to ask you, which cast member surprised you the most when you saw how their life truly turned out in 2026? If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more then and now stories like this.